Grazie Virginia, ma lasciate che ringrazi anche.
Thank you very much, Virginia. I would like to thank you, and thank you most of all, Marco Cappato, Virginia Fiume, for creating this opportunity. But I would like to thank the whole team of Eumans, because you have done a great job. It is with great emotions that I have listened to the presentation by Marta Lempart, whom I have known for many years. I know she's very much involved in these kinds of activities. However, what she says, what Ophélie has said, is very much in line with my feelings. She was wondering whether it made any sense to come here before she actually came. This is exactly the situation that is mine. Filomena Gallo and Marco Cappato can be very convincing, I must say. However, the connection that Ophélie mentioned, the connection between what we know, between what seems to be trivial to us in the face of the whole tragedy that is playing out in front of our eyes, the connection between the institutions, between Europe, and what flows right out of the hearts of individuals. I think it is Eumans, Associazione, Coscioni, and European citizens who have a certain obligation to do this, to build such a connection. Thank you very much, Ophélie, for painting that image. In my opinion, this connection also symbolizes something, means something. Here, I think it's worth referring to two pieces of recent news. First of all, Russia left Council of Europe on the 10th of March 2022. It was established upon the London Treaty in 1948 in order to promote democracy, cultural identity of Europe. And one of its main bodies is the European Court of Human Rights. Who says Russia will leave? It was Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister, who said the following: events force us not to tolerate the treacherous and tricky actions by the West. As you see, the connection is extremely important. That bridge is extremely important. If they cannot remain in the Council of Europe for those reasons exactly, this means that we in the European Union have got the institutional task that we need to work upon. And secondly, a thing that came to my mind, having listened to Marta, is as follows. There is a certain incapacity. Well, the fact that the Polish Constitutional Tribunal decided that the European Charter of Human Rights is not binding in Poland. Please watch the time, because I can speak on this topic forever. Why is the Council of Europe such an important organization? There are quite a few similar institutions, and there are quite a few opportunities when we emphasize the significance of reproductive rights as an element of human rights. We're talking about the Tehran Conference, the Beijing Conference. I think the history is quite long here. However, the Council of Europe in 2017 went back to its recommendation towards its member states. It said that they should recognize reproductive rights as part of human rights. And thanks to that, the countries need to act for their respect. This is definitely something which is extremely clear. That direction has been indicated quite clearly. As we see, everything seems to overlap and form a common unity. It's just a science for democracy. When I was listening to your presentations, I realized that citizens had the right to take advantage of scientific research and scientific discoveries. However, if safe abortion is something that finds its place within best medical practice, it's not something out of extraordinary. The International Federation of Gynecology and Obstetrics, FIGO, gets involved in this topic very much on an international scale. Also, each medical association in every country does a lot in order to mobilize forces to provide for a safe abortion. Therefore, a situation where we've got a country denying that option is something that has got a lot to do with what we have discussed so far. Of course, it is worth quoting positive examples. I don't think we have done that so far. And let me use the Irish example. Perhaps you do remember what happened there. They established a sortition-based citizens' assembly. It happened in 2014. The assembly consented to introducing single-sex marriages in Ireland. On the basis of that sortition-based assembly, the government organized a referendum that was held in 2015, and the majority of citizens supported single-sex marriages. It was as much as 62% of the votes. The same procedure followed in terms of abortion. So first, they called a sortition-based citizens' assembly, and that happened in 2016. They developed a document aiming at deleting the prohibition of abortion from the Constitution. Later on, the whole assembly voted upon the text. Of course, they approved it. And then in 2018, a referendum was held. I'm sure everyone remembers it, which resulted in deleting the prohibition of abortion. As much as 66% of the population was for the deletion of the prohibition. What does that mean? We've got specific evidence proving that. If you have a good idea to promote, I mean, it's a very good idea to promote this very tool. However, you need to remember about two issues that tie in with that. First of all, countries such as Poland that pursue a policy of total regression in terms of abortion and coping with the topic. But on the other hand, there are quite a few countries, also in Europe, where there is the right to abortion, but there are quite a few barriers in accessing that right. Italy is a great example, although it differs in Italy depending on the region. When I listened to one of the participants who told us about the epidural in Italy and in Belgium, well, I used to work in a hospital in Italy when such anesthesia was available, free of charge, not waiting until the woman would be convulsing in pain. So we do have such services in Italy as well, although the situation is far from being uniform. You need to cope with the law that is being enforced, as well as taking account of the response of those who are trying to deprive us of the European identity. The European Parliament actually helped us. In 2020, in June, they adopted a resolution providing for common access to reproductive health for every woman in Europe. They said that what needs to be guaranteed is access to legal and safe abortion in each of the EU member states, and put an end to conscientious objection. Of course, you need to remember about sexual education in primary schools and in middle schools. This is extremely important because there is monitoring on how much attention is paid by each country to sexual education in schools. Yet another issue is getting rid of the tax on safety towels and tampons. Emmanuel Macron, after Roberta Metsola was elected as president of the European Parliament, and she is a well-known abortion fighter, Macron said that access to abortion should be inscribed in the Charter of Fundamental Rights. Therefore, you see very clearly that there are two forces drawing into their directions. It seems to us that our initiative to make every citizen of Europe be seated in the same boat is quite comforting to me. I feel quite well when I think about it. We are in Warsaw, so one more thing, perhaps this will not sound best, but when there was a war in the Balkans, and rape was used as a weapon in the war, John Paul II wrote to the Archbishop of Sarajevo. It was in 1993, and there was a prohibition of abortion even for the women who have been raped. Those women were raped by Muslims. I think this is something that should make us think, because if you forget about the fact that every woman should have the choice whether she wants to become a mother or not, even if she's raped, if such a right is taken away from her, we are moving too far. Anyway, I'd like to thank you once more. I'd like to thank you all those who are doing their utmost. We will continue to do so. Thank you very much.